Told you long ago on the road, I got what they waiting for. Go run from nothing, dog. Get your soul, just tell them they lay low.
Is this ASMR? Nasty. I'm gonna spit it out. Do you want to hold out your hand? Okay. I think this sounds okay. Wow. I'm so proud of you.
I did this at 7 a.m.
Oh, I was about to say, you probably have a lot more to say than me. I've just got theories in my head that I just want to
How much do you know about this?
Not a lot.
Not a lot. That's actually
Okay,
good,
so
actually.
first things first. I'm sweating like a whore in church.
I didn't open.
Okay.
What I said was really fucking funny. So, what'd I say?
I'm sweating like a whore in church.
Yes, ma'am. She be sweaty. Okay. But also, there was okay, hold on. Let's just crack this open real quick.
Yeah. Start off.
Kylie, you already had one this morning.
Oh my god.
That's why I didn't get you one.
She was almost empty.
Well, I'm not
So,
taking you to the ER.
Look, mine's like
Okay.
all bent up.
Don't take me then, let me die.
She's bent up here and she's all flat where the mouthpiece.
Perfect.
Mouthpiece. The mouth.
Mouse?
Mouse.
Wow.
Stop. I have to tell this story real quick. So, this can is all bent, right? And when I lived with my dad, well, I guess even when I didn't, it was still there. Just because I moved away, that didn't mean the store closed. But there was a store that got, like, the not leftover, like, I guess we called it the bent can store. So, like, the cans that were bent, that's where they went, and they were, like, hella cheap. So every time, but then I learned about botulism. So then I was like,
They have a warehouse like that for TVs in Tawnytown.
yes.
That's where I went and got mine.
fridges.
Mhm.
That's where we went when we were trying to find the fridge for the salon, actually.
Yep.
Oh, Nino's? Is that what it's called? Nino's?
Nino's or Tito's or
Yeah.
something like that. It's a 4-letter word.
Tito's.
But then I was also going to tell you guys, listen, this is the worst story you'll ever hear in your life.
Oh, great.
So I got new coffee, right? And I was like, man, it's just not hitting right, you know? And I was drinking Folgers Vanilla Biscotti, and my mom has parosmia really bad, and meaning everything she eats tastes like garbage, right? So I was like, one morning I said, hey, Mom, do you have a K-Cup I can have because I don't have any? So she gave me this box of coffee, right? I get home, and I'm like halfway through this box, right? Like, it was a huge K-Cup box of this Vanilla Biscotti. And I'm halfway through this box, and I realize I'm taking all the K-Cups out to, like, sort them. The box expired in, like, September of 2020. My mom got COVID in August of 2021. No. Okay, it expired in 2021 because it was Boston's first birthday. And that's when my mom got COVID. And I was like, what the hell? And she was like, oh, I haven't had coffee since I got COVID. So, like, that box is, like, really old. Anyway, I was drinking the coffee, whatever. It was really good. I just had to throw that in there. That's not the point of this story. The point of this story is I went and got new coffee from Aldi, right?
Okay.
And they only have, like, 5 flavors of coffee. And I just picked up the breakfast blend or whatever. And the other day, I was like, man, I just need me to pick me up. It was, like, 2 o'clock. So I was like, I'm going to make me some coffee. So I made me some coffee because I don't drink Celsius every day anymore.
It
I
tasted
don't need
bad, didn't it?
It was fucking decaf. And I had already gone through half the box before I realized that. I'm, like, proud of myself over here for not having any caffeine. I'm like, well, I just raw dogged it, man. Like, I went from having 400 milligrams a day to nothing. So
Oh my God.
that was the
That's
highlight of my
sad.
weekend. I actually was really sad about it. So
I would be very genuinely sad about that.
I looked at the box. I was like, how in the hell did I miss that? It's green and it says decaf in big letters. Like, how did I miss that?
Welcome to our podcast. Let's get this show on the road.
I'll cut that part and put it in the middle somewhere for a little intro. We don't got to get right down to business every single time, okay? There's got to be a little bit of laughing in there.
So we have Kylie here today again.
Hello, Kylie.
Hello,
You haven't been sitting here the whole
Kylie.
time.
Yeah. Just got here. Popped in.
Yeah.
Well, So we were going to do part 2 to our Crunchy episode this week, but then we were like, actually, given recent events, we need to do part 2 to our conspiracy episode.
Before everybody forgets about it.
Yeah. Which, I mean, it'll come out next Friday. This episode will come out next Friday. So, I mean, it'll probably be old news by then, but hey, at least we're putting our ideas out there. So,
Yeah. Some people might not even heard about it yet, so.
yeah, and I had a client, she was like, I've never heard about it because I don't even get on the news or anything like that.
Well, I don't either.
And it's like, at that point, I can't even, like, she doesn't have TikTok, she doesn't have anything.
Nothing.
And nothing.
Wow.
And I was like, at that point, I can't even begin to talk to you about this because, like, I have to start from the very beginning, and it's so deep, literally.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah. So, we're here to talk to you about Ocean Gate 2023.
The Titan.
Dun,
The
dun.
Should I insert sound? Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. So today, the date is Monday, June 26th. And
It's approximately 8:08
It was last
a.m.
week. It was still missing last week.
it was still missing last week. When did they find it?
I think they found it
Friday.
Wednesday.
Wednesday?
No. They found it Thursday because Thursday was when it was supposed to run out of oxygen.
Yes. Thursday at like noon.
Well, I think they found it right before it went out of oxygen. That's why it's fishy, bro. That's why it's so fishy.
All right. Let's explain this first. Let's start with the facts.
Mom over here.
Let's start with the facts. And then we can go into
Yeah.
some theories, some opinions.
All right.
Because we're going to talk about the Titanic, too, so.
Yes. I just watched the movie last night again, and Chase had never seen it. So,
I think it's so convenient that it's called Ocean Gate because, like, you know, like Richard Nixon and Watergate.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I just think it's, like, so convenient that it's already.
pull out my notes.
Yeah. But basically, this submarine went down.
Oh, okay. So it's not called a submarine. They can't call it a
Submersible.
It's a submersible because I put it.
I
down
wondered
here.
why they didn't.
It's not a submarine. It's a submersible because it requires a ship to launch and retrieve it.
So that's another thing for me. If it
Okay.
requires a ship to launch and retrieve it, why wasn't something attached to it the whole time?
I don't know that part, like a lot of that stuff. I'm like, I've never been in a submarine. I've never been that deep in the ocean. Like, I'm
My
not
only thing
sure.
is, if you pay one person pays $250,000 for one specific ticket, how can you not afford a tracker
That's how much a ticket was.
for one ticket?
So
And there were 5 people.
there was a tracker on it.
But when it imploded, it probably destroyed that.
Oh yeah, and so there wasn't. Well, there's not a GPS on the submersible because I've heard that in that deep of water, like it won't. Like there's nothing that
Yeah.
can do that. They just relied on the people at the top to tell them where to go.
And they
like, sonar.
required communication every 15 minutes. And then that's when they lost that communication, was when that 15 minutes came and they didn't say anything.
So it was an hour and 45 minutes into the dive.
Which had they made it to the Titanic at that point?
I don't know if that's clear.
Well, okay, so like, you know how planes have black boxes? I wonder if there's like a situation like that.
I feel like it
don't
would
know.
still get
I mean,
destroyed
an
if it
implosion.
implodes. I feel like anything that's like around that gets destroyed.
You know what
when it
survived?
implodes.
So what steered the submersible was
A remote controller.
Logitech.
Logitech remote controller, and that survived.
Okay, no, I did see a TikTok
No,
that
it
said
didn't.
that it didn't steer the whole thing. It worked on a specific like camera or something.
Okay.
But Sam told me that on the reviews for that specific, like people have found it on Amazon. Mm-hmm. And there's reviews on there where it says like it's constantly disconnecting. And I was like, oh, that aged well. But
Ooh,
anyway,
a
it's
$30 controller, right?
yeah, something like that. But it wasn't even like, I don't think that's not how it like got in and out of the water and went deeper. Like I think that was for something else
Okay.
specifically. But Yeah, so they were just going to go see the Titanic, and it was like the CEO of the company, and then 2 guys from Pakistan, right? A son and a dad and a son guy.
They're from somewhere.
But I think, okay, so that's where all the conspiracy thing comes, because I think that they are either A, higher up in the government, or they have something to do with the Pakistan currency, or whatever country they're from. They have something to do with the currency.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
Well, so I watched a video of this 20-year-old man and his dad that were supposed to be in their places. So, like, the people that, the 2 that went took their place, because the boy, the 20-year-old, was like he heard everything that, the submersible was, and just, like, how it was made, and I guess he, like, knows that stuff. And he was like, Dad, no, like, I don't have a good feeling about this. Like, it's not gonna withstand it.
Yeah. Because, okay, the pressure down at the Titanic is 6,000 pounds per square inch.
The Titanic is 12,500 feet deep in the North Atlantic Sea. So,
and that's 3,800
Ocean.
kilometers, right? Or 3,800 meters. That's what it is.
yeah.
So, like, I think the deepest free dive is at, like, somewhere around, like, the 150 meter mark.
I think so.
Like, 150 compared to 3,800. Like,
It's
that's insane.
deep in there. And so Ocean Gate is also a private company, by the way.
It's not funded by the government.
Right.
Yeah. So,
But it is powered by Elon Musk's Starlink system. So if they were to get disconnected and they were still alive down there and it didn't implode, it was supposed to, like, link to his Starlink system.
see, how can you link to...
I don't know.
How can you link to that? That's so much farther up there. But you can't link to, like, a cell phone. You know what I'm saying?
don't know.
Or, like, their special designed communication system.
My only thing is, wasn't someone, like, over all of this, and he was like, a man was like, it's not gonna work, like,
It was back in,
it's
like,
not safe to go on,
2018.
Yeah,
and they
then
fired
it went-
him.
They fired him, and then it went missing, and then he sued Ocean Gate.
Okay.
He like opened a like it was announced that he was suing them like after it went missing.
Because he was like, guys, this isn't safe.
Right.
No.
Okay. Facts are
Okay. So we know that the Titanic is hella deep. Tickets were $250,000 a person.
And there were 5 people on there.
And the CEO, his name was Stockton Rush.
Did you see that the toilet was a little block in where the porthole that you could see out of was?
Yes.
It was a little like Lego that you opened and sat on.
Okay, so I don't, like, I'm hoping some of these are facts, but, like, I just found them on the internet. But somebody said they got certain parts for the submersible from Campers World,
Yes. That is
Wow.
a fact.
and that it was made of carbon fiber and titanium. And I guess mixing those, like, somebody said that, like, it shouldn't be both of
Didn't
those.
James Cameron say that the entire like the type of like he normally uses more of like a ceramic hull instead?
Something like that. So James Cameron, he directed, produced, made the Titanic movie.
Which he only made so he could get funding to go down there and look at it.
Yeah.
So he was like daytime director, nighttime submarine guy.
And he's been
Oh, I
down
didn't
there.
know that.
He's been down there
Yeah.
33 times.
30, yeah.
33 times. And the guy that plays like the pilot of the what's his name in Titanic? The guy that he plays the pilot of the submarine down there, and he finds
He actually passed away.
Paxton.
Yeah, Bill Paxton.
Bill Paxton.
Yep.
Okay.
He was in Twister, too.
Yes. Okay. Bill Paxton actually went down there with James Cameron to the Titanic. So Bill Paxton has actually been down there. They were eating lunch on the deck of the Titanic.
Yeah.
And then they had to come up for some reason. What was that?
How do you go 33 times, survive, but these people...
Go
See,
once.
this is that's why I was like, let's get into the facts
Okay.
because there's so many
So,
things that don't make sense
Let
to me.
me give you a quote from what James Cameron said after they told the world that the submersive imploded. So he said, Monday morning, when I first heard about the incident, I got on a whole bunch of calls and emails, and within an hour and a half, I had the following info. They were on descent. They were at 3,500 feet. They let columns and tracking. They lost. There we go. Sorry, I wrote this really fast. They lost columns and tracking. The last one being the critical one because the transponder that is used to track a sub during descent on the bottom is a fully autonomous system. It's in its own pressure housing and it has its own battery power. So for them to lose columns and tracking at the same time, he knew the sub was gone. There was no question in his mind, he said.
Okay.
To lose both of those because I guess it has its own pressure housing and its own battery power.
Right. Okay, so, like, are those, like, the facts? Because I have so many questions.
So,
I do
yeah,
too.
I literally quoted this from what he said.
In a news interview.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. There's been a lot of people that go down there and say that all the time. They've done these new 3D scans. They've done, like, so many different things. Why all of a sudden was it so different? There was multiple missions going down here, and Ocean Gate, like, was going to go multiple times down to the Titanic with these people paying $250,000. Like, why was this one time so different? And if
I
they
think
lost
it was
communication,
the people that were on it.
if they lost communication, yeah, that's what I'm saying. But if they lost communication at 3,500 feet, they didn't make it down there.
Right.
They
No.
had another 9,000 feet to go.
They had a lot.
But, okay, so it did show. So they found the wreckage, or the particles, whatever. So if you don't know what an implosion is, basically imagine a soda can getting crushed up in literally 2 milliseconds.
If even that.
No, I know that's a fact because somebody said that, you know, if you're worried about whether or not they felt pain,
They didn't.
They didn't,
because
because
it
it
takes your
happened so
brain
fast.
it takes your brain 4 milliseconds to recognize that something's happening. So, but yeah, and then it imploded. An implosion takes 2 milliseconds. So, also on that same topic, it shows that, like, the wreckage was found in multiple different areas, and there was some, like, if you drop weight, they have, like, specific drop weights, so, like, it basically can help you ascend to the top. And the drop weights had been dropped because they were intact and they were at the bottom, and then also I guess some kind of railing that holds those were found, and that's also to get rid of extra weight if you were trying to ascend.
So they did.
No, that shows that they knew something was wrong, and they were
Oh, so
trying
they
to
did.
they were trying to come back up. So they probably knew in their head something was wrong and, like, something was going on because they were trying to come back up. So, I mean, like, they didn't know that it was going to, or they didn't feel the pain of the implosion,
But they knew.
They knew something was going on.
That
So,
hurts my heart.
Yeah, it's so sad. But the game controller did survive, though, right?
Yes.
The game
There
controller
is I'm sorry. I'm just laughing because it's just,
ironic.
yeah.
I don't feel like any of those pictures are real because Chance
I
was on
know.
TikTok last night and it showed this video of, like, this is the final video from the submersible before
No.
it wasn't. It was from
No.
a previous mission. So I feel like some of those pictures are definitely not
It's
real.
hard to believe stuff anymore.
Honestly.
Oh, so another fact, though, the passengers are sealed inside by bolts. And
Yeah, they can't get out.
So even if they did come back up to the top and they were just
they would
waiting
have
to
to be
find,
removed,
they
like-
would have to be removed from the outside.
Yep.
So the big thing was that they had 96 hours worth of oxygen for 5 people, and since they lost communications, whatever. See, and this is the thing is they know what they, as in the company and the media, they know that if they put information out there, people are going to run with it. So they just keep it to themselves for forever, because they knew on Sunday.
I'm sorry. They're just, like, really not in the line, and that's bothering me.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
They knew on Sunday, so the Navy heard something that
They-
sounded like an implosion on Sunday evening.
They detected an anomaly consistent with an implosion. in
They
the
sent
area.
it to the Coast Guard and said, hey, man, we heard this. And considering that you're still looking for them, you should listen to it. And they were like, oh, it's not consistent. So that's why I'm like, man, this is so fucking fishy, dude.
And, like, also, way to keep everybody on their toes to wait till their oxygen ran out.
To tell everybody. Like, that looks fishy. But also, they did the same thing with the Idaho murders. They did not release, like, hardly any information at all. So then social media and TikTok is meant to speculate when really you should utilize that, because the people on TikTok and social media and they are freaking ruthless when it comes to finding some information. There's a guy who's basically solved the Murdaugh murders, like, just by looking at timelines and phone information and all kinds of stuff like that. Like, you should run with that information instead of, like, hiding it from the general public, because it might actually come to benefit you. And there was actually a guy too. There's a shark tracker app.
Yes.
Have you seen this?
Did you see it, Kylie?
Mm-mm.
So there's a shark tracker app, right? They have trackers on big sharks, I guess.
People just watch that.
Megalodon.
So they're
Megalodon.
creatures of habit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you know, they swim back and forth to a certain point, and
Wait. Okay, yes, I think I have seen this, but keep
there
going.
was like, they normally, you know, stay around the coast-ish, right?
Uh-huh.
There was 2 points right where the Titanic wreckage was that, like, it wasn't sharks, because they wouldn't be in that water out that far. And it was 2 sharks, and sometimes that app will call it a glitch, and they'll just erase it. And the guy was like, you better hurry up and, like, check this out before, which, of course, this was before we realized that it was actually an implosion and they weren't existent anymore. So,
Yeah.
But it's just like, if they had gone missing and they were just, like, 47 meters down, like the movie, like, they were just hanging out down there, then, like, that would have been really pertinent information, but they choose not to listen to the public. And, like, bro, like, we can solve a lot of murders if you just, like, give us not necessarily free reign, but, like, put out just, like, little bits of information without giving out too much information, and let the rest be history. Because
Yeah, because, like, there's new things like those Google, like, traffic cams. How
Yeah,
you can just,
yeah,
like,
that too.
Google it. Like,
There's a guy on TikTok that it's to promote, like, not share information with people, or don't take pictures of your surroundings with people. Like, it's to promote safety. But he literally, there's a lady, the one that I watched, she was like, I'm trying to show my daughter how dangerous social media is. Can you tell me where I'm at? And she only shows 2 different places. It was a Wendy's and, like, a bank, I think. Or no, it wasn't a bank. It was a chain of some sort, because he was like, okay, considering these are chains, it can really be anywhere.
Right. Yeah.
Specific geolocation based on the direction of the sun, the shadows, like, literally specific down to where she was standing in the grass.
that is so weird.
And if he's a layman, he can figure that out. Like,
And-
imagine what somebody that, like, you know, a Ring camera from, I mean, I'm sure they checked those things, like the Ring camera from everywhere around in the Idaho murders or whatever, but, like, don't discredit just because it's coming from, like, an external source, because had the people on the Submersible actually been missing and we were given free reign to, like, you know, figure this stuff out, there's a ton of theories out there, but, I mean...
Wait, did they not, like, say to people, like, there's a reward if you can, like, find them, and, like, people with subs were, like, going down to go find them?
I heard that, but I don't know, like, if that was just memes that were created.
I think it was
or...
a meme, because I think that had they known, I think they've known from the beginning that it imploded.
Yeah.
I think that their chances of them keeping things in the dark were keeping people on their toes, essentially, I guess, and not to scare people. But, like, I think they knew that it imploded, because had they, you know, I feel like they would have divulged a little bit more information.
Yeah.
So going into the theories, like, this happens a lot, but it's a distraction. It doesn't mean it didn't happen,
Yeah.
but they kept it going for so long
Yeah.
because there was certain things in that have been happening, but we don't know about them unless you go and research it.
Right.
But it's not on the headlines because you know what it is? The Submersible.
Yeah. And, you know, we've gotten requests to go a little bit deeper into specific conspiracy theories. And if you've already listened to episode 1 of Crunchy, then you know how I am a little bit. So, you know, I don't take everything for what it is. I do my own research, all those things. So somebody, I mean, I'm just going to say it. While the whole submersible thing was going on, Hunter Biden had his court date and basically got a slap on the wrist for everything that happened.
I don't know what happened with him though, so can you
I'm not sure
fill
on
me in
specifics.
on that?
Yeah. There was stuff found on his laptop. Have you ever heard of like Hunter Biden's laptop? Okay, there was some stuff found on his laptop that basically something with Russia, a whole lot of things.
Okay.
I could tell you if somebody was sitting here, talking to me about the conversation, but so anyway, he basically got a slap on the wrist for that, and that wasn't in the headlines because it was the Bidens. And then also, some stuff about Epstein was leaked, or Epstein, however you say it, Epstein. Some stuff about Epstein was leaked, and then something about J.P. Morgan, which I find so interesting.
Because what was he on?
Yeah, J.P. Morgan was on the Titanic, but there's some stuff with the bank that somebody was posing as a certain person, and it had came out that was leaked too. So, anyway, just if there's a big headline, look behind it. Mm-hmm. Look behind it and know that there's probably a distraction. Or that is probably a distraction. Idaho murders, same thing. They were making that such a big thing on most social media outlets.
Yeah.
And
which it is. It's an incredibly sad, terrible thing. But there's so many murders, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. And only a few get
just drawn out of the stat.
like that
and
whole
why?
Abby Petito thing that was going on.
Yeah.
Gabby Petito, that was going on when something big was happening. And I can't remember what it was, but I remember thinking like, they're just trying to cover something up. But anyway, there's a conspiracy of them being like, that's how much it costs to go into witness protection. So
I haven't heard that one.
Yeah,
You did tell me that
so
the other
it
day, and I was
cost.
like,
This is
interesting.
per TikTok, so I don't know what's factual and what's not.
mean, that's
and I
why
don't know
they're
if that's actually an
theories.
amount, because I feel like witness protection. There's a lot more that goes into that, and how convenient is it that they're all higher up people, like billionaires, which that doesn't discredit their life, but they can afford to start over. Renew their life.
Well, this is so when the I don't remember what it was called, but when those people went into space and it exploded, and there's theories that they're still alive,
and they still use their same. They use their same names.
Yeah.
Have you heard about this?
No.
Okay.
What?
I'm
I
gonna
feel
look it
so out of the loop right now. I'm like,
conspiracy theorists.
I mean, I'm here for all of it. I'm just taking it all in, and I'm like, okay, another bit.
So that was just like kind of comparing to like if
Okay, I thought it was like Challenger or something like that. It is the Challenger, and it was January 28th, 1986. Okay, these like 7 people, I think. Yeah, number of deaths 7, and it took off from Florida, and it was the first televised like space shuttle expedition, right? Mm-hmm. And it literally went up and exploded
in front of everybody's faces too.
Yeah.
Like there were so many people there.
Yeah, it exploded, and people like everybody, their family members on the ground were watching it. It was awful, right? But
we weren't alive, obviously, but
that was way before my time. Missed 2001 over here.
So one of the big things was that there was a teacher on board that was like, she was going to be the first teacher to ever go up into space, and it was just this like specific mission for them to go up. And like here's a picture of what it looks like when it was on TV. Yeah,
and it was just like up there in the sky, like it didn't even make it past anything. It was still just.
That's so sad.
Yeah, so there's like evidence that like this teacher, I don't know her name, she's using the exact same name as a professor at a college, and it looks exactly the same. And there's another one, I think his name's like Dick Smith or something like that. It's something super simple, but he teaches a very specific, like, we're talking about it, your phone's gonna hear, and you're gonna see stuff pop up about it, but the chances of it being 2 separate people that look the same, that have the same name, that's unique, is like slim to none. So it's
really?
Yeah, it's like,
because I feel like
maybe
stuff
his name
like that
wasn't
is
Dick
very common, like same names.
No, they looked the same, like the exact same.
So it's so crazy. I looked up just on Safari, the Challenger, the people, and you would think like they would have side by sides because I saw all this on TikTok of them then and then
You're
them
also on
now
Google.
aged.
You should probably use DuckDuckGo.
Oh, here it is.
And yeah, you won't see it on here.
Yeah. So, his name is Richard Scobie.
Okay.
So he was CEO of something. I don't know, or he was. So okay, first of all, look at that. They are literally
Like, come on.
they look the same, but Scobie is such a specific name. But this guy did this thing about like all the names in the history of names, and like looked up Dick Scobie, Richard Scobie, like because you know Dick is a short name for Richard, and like looked, and there's nobody else that has that name.
Wow.
Yeah, and like for them to
Okay.
look that same, and then this guy said that he had a twin brother, but there's no birth record of him having a twin brother. And then that guy, the Michael J. Smith, that's the guy who had the really common name. He's professor of something
Like, look at that.
at Westminster. Yeah. Yeah. See what?
Save those photos and we'll
Yeah,
put them on the
yeah,
video.
Anyway, so there's that. That's huge.
So there's a theory that maybe that.
That same concept.
Yeah.
But see, if it was witness protection, then the people who were on the Challenger mission would have used a different name.
Right.
Yeah, my only thing is, why do they go by the same name still then?
I don't know that. I don't know.
stupid.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I don't understand that part. But so I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, okay, maybe that, right? Like maybe they went down there, witness protection to
Possibility.
die, because also Cardi B called out the son of one of these guys and was like, why are you at a Blink 182 concert? You should be looking for your dad.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, this is not how I mourn. Like I don't.
But he probably knew.
But I saw this thing that was like, hey, what
What?
if he's doing this because he knows he's going to be fine, because he's actually just, whatever.
Maybe.
Yeah.
This is
So
all so much
there's
to
a lot.
process.
it is so much. But okay, so then the other one, I asked Chance last night. I was like, so like,
Okay.
do you believe that anything like it's fishy? And he was like, no, not really. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, no, I just think that it like did what
Like
it
a
said
freak
it did,
thing.
and it was a freak thing. And I was like, well, what about this? And I asked him about the witness protection. He was like, no. And I was like, okay, this is my other theory. They just did some 3D scans of the Titanic, and what if, because of the Titanic's not actually the Titanic theory.
Have you heard that?
How it's a
So-
sister ship.
Yeah. So that those scans revealed something that would show
That it wasn't.
that it wasn't, and I don't know who would be in charge of paying that insurance payout, but basically catching them in hot water, right? And the theory, if you haven't heard about it, is that the Titanic that sunk is actually the Olympic. And there's lots of theories why that this would have happened, but
Didn't you say that article that was talking about it?
yes, and basically, I've heard a couple of different ones, but the one that's the biggest reasoning is that it was just costing way too much money to make the Titanic, and they had this Olympic ship that was working, all the things.
Basically the same thing in a way.
There's
Right.
only just minor differences about
Right.
it.
But specific enough that it could cause uproar if the Titanic actually was not the Titanic, because basically if the Titanic sunk, they would get a very large insurance payout, which
That
the
would be
theory
hefty.
is that it was used to finish the Titanic that was actually being built. So they sunk the Olympic on purpose to get the insurance payout to finish the Titanic.
Wow.
So this-
because it was made of like a wrong metal, right? Because
they said that it was supposed to be made by a specific type of metal, and then it actually wasn't. Also, these 3D scans show that there's no bulging along the side of the ship down towards the bottom where they say the Titanic got hit by
because
the iceberg.
I mean they rushed it so fast. That's why it literally like snapped in half when it went down.
So the theory is it actually grazed on top of a shelf of an iceberg. So the ding, 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 ding is up underneath it, unless it was done on purpose. So, yeah. Anyway, there's another one that's saying that it's a revenge plot for J.P. Morgan, which is he was on the ship, and then some Rockefellers were on the ship, and I know that around that time they were trying to create the National Reserve or the Federal Reserve, the National Bank, all those things. So some people say that the sinking of the ship was to try to kill these people and to postpone the National Bank. Anyway, let's see. This says that which conspiracy is so believable that it might be true? What if it was actually the Olympic? What if it was a ploy to remove the faulty ship that was costing them more money than she was bringing in for White Star Line and cash in on her £1 million insurance policy? They're $1 million, yep.
Oh my god.
£1 million.
back then?
Yeah.
Whew.
Here's the facts. The Titanic was one of a trio of ships commissioned and built for White Star Line between 9/11 and 1914. The Titanic was completed a year after the Olympic, and then Britannic was set to be completed in 1914. The Britannic didn't last more than a couple of years. She was requisitioned for the Royal Navy, and then it's the older two sisters that pairs with the Titanic never sank conspiracy. So if you believe the standard tale, the Olympic actually had a pretty respectable lifespan. She lasted 24 years in total before being retired and sold for scrap in 1935. Isn't that so sad? These extravagant ships are just sold for scrap. But she even served in the First World War, gaining the nickname Old Reliable for her steadfast dependability.
Very reliable.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, no, this is the
Olympic, but maybe
technical.
the Titanic.
Technical Olympic, but maybe the Titanic.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's why she was so reliable, because she was unsinkable.
Mm-hmm. So September 20th, 1911 was actually the date that it was set out to be her first maiden voyage for the Titanic, right? But it was just costing too much money, and it was a financial disaster. The Hawk, which was... what does it say? Okay, only a few months before the Titanic was due to set on her ill-fated... Okay, no, I did get that information wrong. Cut that out. So, there was only one hiccup in her record. On September 20th, 1911, only a few months before the Titanic was set out on her ill-fated maiden voyage, this RMS Olympic collided with the HMS Hawk off the southern coast of the UK. For the White Star Line, it was a financial disaster. The Hawk had two massive holes in the hull, causing the latter ship to take on water and seriously damaging her propeller. She was out of commission for months, with the repairs eating into the time and resources that it would otherwise have gone to the Titanic. Of course, the Titanic eventually fared even worse, sinking on her first ever voyage mere weeks after the Olympics repairs were completed. What a run of bad luck, huh? I'm getting this information from IFL Science, so... unless it wasn't, this is the point that facts turns into conspiracy. Conspiracy theorist says all these disasters were part of an insurance scam. The Olympic collision had been such a money sink. The idea goes that White Star simply swapped out the two ships, sending the bashed upon Olympic to sink in the Atlantic while the Titanic stayed safe in the docks. That way, when the supposedly brand new liner went down, the shipping company could actually collect a reward, a hefty lump of insurance money. Sure, a couple thousand people might have died, but that's just the cost of doing business, right?
So, hold on. You're saying that this Olympic, who collided with that Hawk, so it was like a wrecked ship.
Right. It was. It had damaged the hull, which is the pressure, right?
Okay.
And then it also damaged the propeller.
So then...
It was to live on 24 years past that? See, that's the part that...
Yeah.
That in...
So, really, they put a wrecked
Oh, okay.
ship out to sea as the Titanic, and it hit an iceberg.
Yeah.
What year did the Titanic sink?
1912.
And then what year did all that go on?
So this happened in September of 1911.
It sank on, I think, April 14th of 1912.
So they're saying... This is the part that's confusing for me. That the Olympic was this old, reliable ship
Not very reliable.
to live 24 years past, but it had already been damaged once.
that would make sense on why the Titanic sank so easily.
Because she was supposed to be made out of this, like, she's the unsinkable ship. Like, she's this, and this. Like, also, I've heard that the Olympic was, like, actually really extravagant. Like, it was, like, made with really nice things.
Now I want to see this shit.
So, here are a few clues that proponents of the conspiracy take as their smoking guns. First example is the Titanic never had a public examination before its voyage. To stop people from noticing it, it was actually the Olympic. Others point to the portholes of the two ships, sometimes even offering up photographic evidence that the ships had been swapped. There's no reason why the shipbuilders would have changed the portholes on the Titanic when they were nearly done building it. Like, this happened in September, and it was set to set sail in April. They wouldn't have had enough time. Yeah, they wouldn't have had enough time to, like, change the portholes over. The only answer is that the ship is the final picture. In the final picture, which is the ship that left port on April 10th, 1912, and was met with a terrible fate near Newfoundland. That's how you say it, right?
I think.
Newfoundland was not the Titanic, but actually the Olympic. But do either of these arguments hold up? Not really. The Titanic may not have had a public viewing before it set sail, but she surely didn't leave for her maiden voyage without anybody checking her out. Surveyors that went on the most detailed notes wrote down to the last rivet about repairs or maintenance that needed doing. You simply couldn't pass off one ship as another. Okay, so now that we've said that, this is where the conspiracy with OceanGate comes in.
Okay.
So, the good guys, i.e., people trying to expose people for their bullshit, they're like, hey man, we have these new 3D scans that show things that they're not supposed to show that would make this look like the Olympic. And the bad guys are the ones that are still connected somehow to the insurance scam. And
100+ years later?
I know. I'm like, how many bloodlines did that go through?
Oh my God.
hold on. The wife of the CEO that died, she actually had relatives that were on the Titanic. And it was her great-grandmother and grandfather or something.
What?
Ida and Isidore or something like that.
Yeah, I heard that.
He refused to get on a lifeboat until women and children were all gone. So he went down with... Or no. And then she was like, well, I'm not getting on without you, babe. Like, I'm not leaving you. So the little couple in the Titanic where they're, like, hugging each other in bed,
Yeah.
that's meant to represent that couple.
I might cry.
Yeah. So they went down with the ship, right? They were like,
Okay.
I'm not leaving you, babe.
Yeah.
Love you forever, right? And so they went down.
Goals.
So that's why she's, like, so fascinated with it, right? So,
That would make sense.
well, bad guys are the ones that's like, no, we got to keep up this facade. That's actually the Titanic and this, and this, and this. Well, so bad guys are trying to, like, run down there to fix whatever it is that makes it look like the Olympic. We're going to go down there and we're going to, like,
Or destroy more.
rig it up to make it look like it's not actually the Olympic, it's the Titanic. And the bad guys, or the good guys, are the ones that's like, no, we need to expose them. We need to expose them. So, I don't know how that goes into... I'm saying the good guys are the ones that are wanting to expose them for the bullshit, but the way that this is aligned, the good guys would also have to do something to make the submersible implode.
So maybe...
So are they good guys?
Hold on. Maybe, just a theory backing that theory, they took that submersible down there to distract from those 3D scans coming out. I don't know. Maybe.
No, they already did come out.
Okay, well...
Yeah, they came out in May. So that's why it's like, well, we better hurry up and get down there before...
I don't know. I really don't know. That's just me thinking.
Like,
I don't know.
They've learned more from these 3D scans, knowing, oh, well, there's no abrasions or anything identifying that it actually got hit by an iceberg. So how the hell did it get down on the bottom of the ocean?
Right.
Unless it, like, skidded across a shelf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
So it goes hand in hand. There's a little piece on the very, very front of the Titanic that's in the ocean. That looks like it looks like, you know, a curly Q, like, I have to find a picture.
It's the, like, wheel for the rope that held.
Yes. Okay.
Whatever.
The Titanic in the pictures does not have that.
No.
Whoa,
No.
whoa.
No.
No, that's what
That
I
was
saw.
debunked. That was no. This girl on TikTok made that, and all these comments were like, "You're so dumb. That's not right." No,
I saw
no,
side by side.
No. Because in that, it was on there. There was people were like, no. I think you're just thinking too much into that part.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well,
I
that
don't.
would make sense.
I don't know if that's true or not.
Well, okay, so when I was talking to Chance about it, that's what he brought up. He brought up that part. And he was like, well, there's something on it that the Titanic didn't have in pictures.
I mean, yeah, I would have to look, but I did see that one video where the girl was like, explain this. Explain why that one doesn't look the same as the Titanic in the pictures and whatever. But then all these comments were like, girl, no, what are you talking about? This is weird.
Yeah.
Because it was like a pulley or something, right? Like
yeah, it's like, but it looked like kind of like crafted. Like, let me see. It looks like,
Just seeing all these pictures on DuckDuckGo, it's like so weird.
so
Like,
it's this little thing right here. Like that, whatever that is.
Oh,
Wait,
okay.
let me see.
That,
Like,
whatever
Like,
that is.
okay, let me.
And then
This.
there's a better picture.
thing.
That.
right.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
yeah.
it very clearly looks like, man-made. It's not just like deposits of like rust, right? And then that's not the front. Let's see. I want to find a picture of the front and see if it has it on there. Because
I think I saw, and if you go
There's this
real
one. See?
close. So, here, let me see.
This is
Let me
weird.
So I'm thinking, because like that picture underwater is a really, really close up picture of this.
and I'm wondering, yeah, I get
Yeah,
that.
here's the side by side of it.
Did you just look that up on Reddit?
No, it's on DuckDuckGo.
Oh.
I feel like
I don't know. That's
I
a
feel
hard
like-
one.
that might not be true though, because that would be way too easy to be like, okay, they're really faking it.
Right.
Like these
Like the
people have
front
to
of
be
the
super
ship.
smart to know. Like,
Hey,
I
but
don't know.
also listen, in 1912, they didn't think, oh, we're going to go sink this ship and they're going to be able to go find it. It took them till 1985 to
True.
find it.
Well, and that's why, like, Colin and I would be, like, talking about this when it was missing. And Chase, he just kind of, like, listens, but he doesn't really get into all this stuff. But I was like, or no, Colin was like, it took them, 70 years to find the Titanic? What makes them think they're going to find a little submersible in the ocean in, like, 3 days?
that's a good point.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? True.
Okay, look. This is Olympic and
Oh,
Titanic
oh,
side by
okay,
side,
okay.
okay? That's the Olympic, and this is the Titanic unfinished because they're still working on it.
They're working on the front.
No, look. It literally is on there.
Huh.
Stressed.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that girl might not be full of shit.
Well, maybe she ain't.
I don't know.
That's just still very weird.
Okay,
to
look.
me.
That picture proves that the switch theory is true. All H&W, which is the H&W, what is that? Look up H&W Titanic.
On
And see-
DuckDuckGo.
Yeah. And that's like the name, I think that's the guy on the movie where he's like, it's the unsinkable ship.
H&W.
The one that was like the reporter or whatever?
Yeah, the guy, you know what I'm talking about. What the fuck was his name? Harley something.
Because in the movie he was like, we need to get there in a day before so we can make good headline and say that it's the fastest ship too. And
Hold on. Okay, this does say sarcasm. So I don't know if this is like I wish people to just be factual on here.
I know, it's so hard.
It said all H&W had to do was close off the front of the A deck promenade on the Titanic and then change the rooms around on B deck to remove that promenade, and it would be done. All the rest is handled with the paperwork. Make Olympic number 400 and Titanic number 401, and it solves all the other problems neatly. I don't know. There's no upvotes on it, so, like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's not letting me look up H&W Titanic.
I don't know why the Titanic is just so interesting to so many people, like, including me. But, I mean, it's a ship, like, there's a lot of ships that sink.
I asked
right?
Lexi the other day, I was like, you were definitely a Titanic kid, weren't you? And we were like, oh, yeah.
Oh,
my,
yeah.
My library, my elementary school library, had this one Titanic book that I thought was the most fascinating thing in the entire world. And it definitely had been written in, like, 1985 because my school old as fuck. And then, so, literally every single time we had library day, that first book I went and got.
Titanic.
Yeah. So,
I guess I need to go home and watch this
You need to watch the movie.
I
It is
cannot
so
believe
good.
you haven't seen it.
It is so good. I
It's
literally
so
now I'm
long.
on Titanic TikTok and I'm watching all these like compilations of like Rose and Jack and just like Leo and Kate. Like they're just so cute together. I just love them.
Okay, but one thing I want to bring up that everybody has probably picked up on TikTok.
Okay.
The, why did I just forget their name?
Uh-oh.
Pressure. The TV show, The Simpsons,
Oh.
called it. The Simpsons called it. Because there's the little thing that it's like oxygen low, and he's like, ah! And then
Do you
goes
know
the
when that
oxygen
episode
out,
was
and
made?
he's like, ah! No.
Here's the thing,
No
though.
idea.
If it
Let
had
me
been
look.
any other, it could be any other shipwreck. It could be any other submarine. It could have been any other people, and they would have connected it to the Simpsons. You know what I'm saying?
True.
Like, it could have been any other setup, and they could have connected it to the Simpsons. Like, oh, you're gonna go down to see a like literally in the movie, Bill Paxton is like, there's 6,000 pounds per square inch. Like,
This
take
is a
notes.
9-inch glass, and if this like cracks or anything, we're just poof gone.
Yeah, yeah.
I was
and then
like,
I
that's
saw this,
eerie.
this guy who went down. This guy that went down, he put like he had drawn on some styrofoam cups. He had drawn on them and like had people sign on whatever, and there was like 9 of them. And he put them in an unpressurized part of the submarine.
Okay.
So when they went down to the Titanic and came, it was a styrofoam cup, like, you know, normal styrofoam cup size. Went down to the Titanic, came back up, and they had shrunk, like shrinky dinks. They had shrunk to this size.
But it wasn't in an oxygen area?
It wasn't a pressurized.
It was just
hanging out. So it shrunk that styrofoam, all those styrofoam cups to like the size of a thimble.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So,
That's nuts. No, the ocean, man, it's freaking nuts.
First aired in 2016.
And it shows the submarine getting stuck.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if those
see, that
theories...
would yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was also this
I don't know.
guy
Could be
in
anything.
2001 who went down to see the Titanic, and he was a reporter, and he was deathly afraid of the ocean, but he was like, man, I can't pass this up. Like, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Like, I can't pass this up.
I don't think you
So
can
he went
enough
down-
money to go down there.
He went down to see the Titanic. And they get down there, and they're looking at it or whatever, and then they decide to go look at the stern. It's like upside down, I think, right? I think it got flipped upside down.
I don't know.
Oh, no, man.
Okay, so anyway, it's upside something. So they go to look at it, and you know these propellers are huge, but they're like made of brass, so like they didn't rust like how everything else did. So they were like actually still like shiny and
Wow.
you know, like
Especially
whatever.
in probably 2001.
Well, when they go and see the stern, they got swept by a deep underwater current, and it slammed them up against the propeller, and they got stuck.
Gosh.
And this guy was like, I saw my life flash before my eyes. Like, everybody talks about, like, you knew in that moment that you're trying, like, you don't have, like, anything to, like, pick up or grab, or, you know, like, you can't get out of there to, like, you know, help yourself free.
Yeah.
So his pilot, eventually got him out of it, thank God. But, he's alive today to tell the tale or whatever. But he was like, if they haven't imploded yet, I cannot imagine what they're thinking about, all these things. And, maybe that's why he didn't have the professional opinion that they did implode, because he was just a journalist that went down there just to write about it.
Right.
Yeah, so...
That's nuts.
I mean, the ocean is just so terrifying, and, like, the fact...
I could go on forever about the ocean.
Hey, have you heard that... That was in my can. Have you heard that the ocean, like, deep ocean, and space are, like, the same? Have you heard that?
I have.
What do you mean?
They're, like, the same.
If you
Go deep enough.
go
you
deep
into
enough
space.
into the ocean, it's said that that's your way to get to space, because like some things in the ocean and the stars in space and stuff like that, it just looks so similar and it's never fully been explored. So how can you rule it out?
Also, NASA used to do the ocean.
Yeah.
Because they
We
were
talked about that.
NACA.
I know.
They weren't NASA. They were NACA, and they were discovering everything with the ocean. And then suddenly one day they're just like, we're not going to do that anymore. It's just like,
Yeah.
what happened?
I don't know. It's just
What
fishy.
happened?
And also, like, think about you can't get out of a rocket ship or a space shuttle.
Without something on. They need to put space gear on and go into the ocean.
Okay, yeah, because that...
I don't know. You said it's the same thing.
If it is the same thing, I don't know. But, like, they shrink them. Like, literally, if you... 6,000 pounds per square inch. 6,000 pounds.
Did we say James Cameron went to the deepest part of the ocean by himself? He's the only man.
Oh.
And survived.
How deep do you think the deepest part of the ocean is?
Deep.
It's in the, like,
Guess.
the Mariana Trench or whatever.
Guess how deep that is. Like, miles.
Miles?
It's
Let's go for
miles?
300,000.
No. I saw it was 7.
Literally fucking 7.
7 miles.
What?
Yeah.
Only 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. Only 7.
Oh, I was highballing.
I
Highballing.
would say at least 100, right? Nope. Only 7.
7 miles.
But that's, like, different than, like...
What's been explored? 7 miles.
Right. But I'm still saying, only 7. But if you think about how many miles 7 miles is,
It's, I mean, it's...
It's
put
like
it vertical.
from here to my house.
So put that vertical.
Yeah.
And that's how many... That's
Yeah.
how.
That's
I wonder
not
how many miles it
far.
is to space. Is it more? Is it deeper than how much? See, and that's freaky.
I'm gonna look it up.
Point Nemo
I'm looking at
in
it.
the ocean is closer
Nemo.
to space than it is land.
Wow. Yeah, you did say that the other day, but I don't think I comprehended it.
Okay, how many miles is it from Earth to space?
Yeah. $18 and a half.
18 and a half.
See, that's... I don't believe that.
But they can go travel on the moon and it be perfectly fine, but they can't go in the ocean.
I saw this side by
7
side.
miles down.
That was like, this technology can do this, but it can't do this. And it was like 1960. Whenever they went to the moon, it was like this like real ghetto stuff that you could take to the moon or whatever. Whenever they went to the moon, in quotations. But it was like, oh, my technology can do this, but then other technology can't do that.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Oh, man.
Fishy, fishy, fishy.
No, I think the moon landing, fake. I think there was something fishy behind everything that happened with OceanGate for sure.
There's always a plan for everything, and everything is planned out. I don't believe anything is or not a coincidence, right? Or
I don't believe in coincidences.
yeah, okay, there we go.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
But-
I mean, this was a long one. So,
Yeah.
Anyway, this is like kind of part 2 to conspiracy theories, but definitely not the last time you'll see Kylie's face. So,
Oh, I've got a lot more talking to do.
yeah. And as these things surface too, I feel like it's fun to
Yeah.
like stay current on them. But next week we will release part 2 to our crunchy episode, so that's gonna be fun. And then like next week after this one's released.
Yep.
And then we're gonna have some more guest people on here. We got some tricks up our sleeve, so there's that. Anyway, so I gotta pee, y'all.
Me
I do too.
Oh, great.
Should we rock paper scissors?
I'll go last.
All right, have a good weekend. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, fuck off.
She runs.
Fuck off.